Hello again. So today we're going to be looking at negative exponents and order of operations. So first off, let me do that. We're going to look at negatives and exponents. A lot of times people, when they simplify numbers with negatives, they tend to do the incorrect operation with the negative sign. So I want to go over what each example means and how you would do it like with a calculator or by your hand. So the first one is negative 2 to the fourth. So the meaning is opposite of 2, because negative is the same thing as saying opposite. So opposite of 2 to the fourth power. So what you're doing essentially is opposite of 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Because to the fourth power means I'm multiplying that 2 four times. And then the opposite of that. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. The opposite of that is negative 16. Remember, opposite is just the same distance from 0 on the other side. All right, so this next example is, see here the difference is parentheses are around the negative. So this is saying negative 2 to the fourth power. So I'm going to multiply negative 2 four times. So when I do that, two negatives make a positive, positive and a negative make a negative, negative and a positive, negative and negative make a positive. So this time I get positive 16. So whenever you have parentheses around your negative number and you have exponents, your answer is going to come out to be positive because my exponent here is an even number. Now let's say if this was a 3, so negative 2 to the third, that will end up being a negative 8 because 3 exponent is an odd number. All right, so this next example is still parentheses, but now the negative is on the outside. So what we're saying is opposite of 2 to the fourth power. Okay, so it's pretty much the exact same thing as the first one, except we just have parentheses. And this is like an invisible parentheses essentially. So what we're doing is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 16. Take the opposite, which is negative 16. All right, now we have the same thing again, but now we have a negative on the inside and the outside. So what we're doing is opposite of negative 2 to the fourth power. See here, I have a negative with it, so it's opposite of the negative 2. So we multiply negative 2 four times, which would be positive 16. We got that. But now what's the opposite? Negative 16. Okay? So this is just some notes. Negative inside parentheses. Okay? Negative without parentheses is opposite. So just keep that in mind. And that's what you're going to fill into right here. Okay? Now the next part is order of operations. A lot of you guys have been used to PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. P would mean parentheses, but you can have more than just parentheses around your numbers. So I use G for grouping instead of just parentheses. I'm going to show you what I mean. Okay, so like right here, let me zoom in. One. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so you can see here G is grouping symbols. So that's like parentheses, absolute value bars. If you're doing the radical symbol, like the little house we call it, so that's grouping. E is again for exponents. Okay, M is multiply, D is divide. Remember, you always do it from left to right, like you read a book. Then you would do adding and subtracting, left to right again. So that is what this right here is just talking about, okay? So now I want to show you an example. Okay, what I would do, guys, is complete this problem as I do it for you on paper, and then you can take a picture of it, and then save it to your Google Drive, like you should have Google Drive on your phone, and then you just hit insert and upload from Drive right here. Okay, so we just go to Drive, and then you would pick the picture that you just took of your work. That way you can have the work all right here. Feel free to type it. It's up to you. Picture's probably easier. So let's look at this example. Let's see if that's the actual right example. Is that the right one? Yeah. Okay. So we have negative 2 to the fourth minus 3 times the absolute value of 5 minus 11 plus 2 times, and we have this whole entire other fraction in parentheses. 2 times 7 minus 4 times the absolute value of 2 minus 3 divided by, we call that's the house, so the square root symbol, so square root of negative 3 squared plus 2 times 17. Okay, that's a big one. But we're going to do all of the order of operations in one problem. Okay, so let's look at this example right here. So I've highlighted what I'm going to do first. Remember, we're going to do G, GEMDOS. So G is for grouping, so that could be any type of grouping symbol. So let's do 5 minus 11. That is what? Negative 6. I'm not getting rid of the absolute value bars yet. I'm going to do one step at a time. All right, and then I'm going to do the other absolute value bars. 2 minus 3, that's negative 1. Again, didn't get rid of the absolute value. Now, let's do absolute value bars. We remember from the previous video, absolute value is the distance from 0. Distance is always positive. So the absolute value of negative 6 is 6. Now you see here I have added parentheses around it because the 3 is multiplying the absolute value. So I want to represent multiplication here. I don't want to just put 3 and 6. That looks like 36. All right, and then the absolute value of negative 1 is 1. Again, put parentheses so you don't confuse yourself. Now we can do exponents and multiplication. So I'm going to look here. I'm going to get this really big fraction out of the way. So 2 times 7 is 14, and then 4 times 1 is 4. Don't forget to bring down the negative sign, the subtraction sign. And then now I'm doing negative 3 squared. Remember from the previous, from up here, the previous slides, that's the opposite of 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, opposite of 9 is negative 9. And then 2 times 17 is, 34, okay? And then I'm going to do the numerator. 14 minus 4 is 10. And now that negative 9, and then that 34. So negative 9 plus 34 is 25. So now I just have to get rid of this radical symbol, and that's a square root symbol. So remember, square roots are what times what gives me this number. So I'm going backwards. So what times what is 25? It's got to be the same number. So 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So now, okay, I can make the square root of 25 of 5. And now I can simplify my fraction because this is a dividing symbol is a fraction essentially. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. Okay, so now I have a pretty much simplified a lot of the pieces now, and now we have just a little bit left. So we've gotten rid of that whole entire grouping symbol, and we did the multiplication. Okay, after we did the absolute value, did some multiplication, we did this exponent, we subtracted and added, and then we did square roots. We got to do that first, then we divided. Okay, all right, now we have exponents still. So we're going to go back to GEMDOS. So no more grouping symbols. So we have E for exponents. So negative 2 to the 4th, that's the same thing as saying negative 2 to the 4th power. And so negative 2 to the 4th is 16, positive 16, because the negative's in parentheses. And then I bring everything else down, okay? I'm going to do, there's no more exponents, no more grouping, so we're going to do multiplication. 3 times 6 is 18. 2 times 2 is 4. Don't forget that subtraction sign here. All right, now we're going to add and subtract left to right. So even though A comes first before subtraction, we do whatever is first. So there's subtraction here first. So 16 minus 18 is negative 2. Bring down to plus 4. Negative 2 plus 4 is 2. So that is step by step. It's a very long problem. I will not be giving you guys one this long, but I wanted you to see how order of operations works so you can go cover all of them at one time, okay? So again, you can write this down on your own notebook paper, save it to your Google Drive, and remember you go to Insert, Image, Drive, or if you're on a computer, Photos, or whatever. If your computer has a camera, you can just take a picture of your notebook paper and then just insert it here so you can have the work on this page. All right, so I will talk to you guys later. Bye.